I am with Access Recreation, as I said, and we are going to be talking you through the outdoor information for all abilities and why that's so important. Next slide.
All right, there we go.
So the agenda for today, we've already done the intros. We're going to dive right into the Access Recreation origin story and the why this is so important to engage with people with disabilities, and trail info guidelines. And then we'll go into what's next, and if we have time, we'll do a little Q&A. Next slide. So after today, you'll be able to understand needs as defined by people living with disabilities, engage appropriately with people living with disabilities, clearly understand the trail guidelines, and how to apply them for inclusive website information. Next slide. So the one big thing that we're hoping that you'll all come away with is that useful information matters for people of all abilities. Next slide. So you see there's three images. They're different people, having different desires in outdoor recreation and wanting a variety of choices. The one photo at the top left is of three people and a dog. One person has a white cane, appears to be blind, holding on to the elbow of the other gentleman. And then there's a woman in a scooter, a power scooter with her service animal. And they appear to be on a hard surface, wide hard surface trail. There's the two people on the top right. We had the pleasure to meet Patrick and Travis and his son Patrick. Patrick is seated on a log in the blue shirt, and Patrick is describes himself as neurodivergent, non-speaking, autistic, and he has apraxia, which is kind of a muscular movement disorder, and he's non-speaking. He's 15 years old, and he came out here and we met him. He's from Australia, and he just, at 15 years old, he recently learned how to speak using a letterboard, and he's got a lot to say. And he's also recently been able to hike with his father. He like runs amok, but his father like will run after him and and guide him. So they're hiking now, and the bottom picture is of people in track chairs, and track chairs are awesome. They will go over rough terrain. There's a bunch of them available in different parks, and they can go up to water and up to 9 inches. So next slide. When we're talking about different abilities, there's different considerations. So physical limitations, you may be interested in trail surface and accessible amenities like ADA bathroom, an accessible drinking fountain. Sensory limitations and sensitivities. If somebody is light sensitive and they go through a deciduous forest, it's kind of like a strobe light. It can be a little disconcerting to go through with the flickering lights. Post-traumatic stress disorder, quiet and peaceful settings are something that might be sought um, for this individual. Mental and cognitive limitations, trail loop might be beneficial for people so that they wouldn't get lost. Attention deficit disorder, places without a lot of activity, where you can have like a private area would be good to know about ahead of time. And temporary disabilities, coming out of surgery and wanting to rehab by being outdoors. It'd be good to know if there's frequent benches along a trail. Next slide. So what do we all have in common? Well, people of all abilities desire outdoor recreation that meets the level of adventure we seek, meets the level of accessibility that serves all of our needs, and is found online, and our questions are answered by phone by somebody, a human being that might have some answers or know where to direct you rather than, an automated system. And that there's a variety of destinations available for us to choose from with a broad range of attractions. Next slide. So yeah, the origin story. That's me back in my prime. I was. We brought two canoes together, and I balanced a camera on the end of my paddle, and this is before cell phones. Took a little selfie. So I was very much an adventurous spirit. Next slide. I did camping. The center picture, I was hiking with friends on a backpacking trip up in Sisters, Oregon. The final picture is of me on a 2-week kayaking trip with a few of my friends. No guided tours, and I was about 40 years of age, and probably about 8 to 12 months from that when that picture was taken, I was diagnosed with MS. Next slide. So I'm still an adventurous spirit. I designed a fisherman's float that has 2 trolling motors on the back, and it's all run by a box that has a joystick on it, and I attached it to a harmonica stand around my neck, and so I move the joystick to the left, and one motor goes back and one goes forward, and I spin on a dime. It's got 5 speeds. It's pretty awesome. There's a picture of me and my sister kayaking and playing up in the ocean in Canada. The center one, I was a scuba diver when I could walk, and I still am. We tested it out by going out to Hawaii and throwing me on a boat and tossing me off the edge of the boat. And one friend grabbed my elbow, and I flipped around and went back to back with her. And it was like, well, this isn't working. And so we got 2 people on either side, and I had the time of my life, once again. And I always wanted to skydive, and I never did. But just recently, I went to iFly, and they have this simulation tube. I think it's in Tigard, and the air blows you up into the air, and I was able to spin around, virtually with this guy in red, and it was pretty awesome. Next slide. So, as a wheelchair user, it's true that I find one of the greatest obstacles in finding a place to hike is useful information. I was looking for a place in the Columbia River Gorge where I could hike and get up to like a bridge like this, you know, really close to the waterfall. And I couldn't find the information online to know whether I could do such a thing. And so I went out with 3 places in mind. Next slide. So the one place I couldn't get out of the van because there was no parking. The second place I was I was there was one parking space accessible. I could get out of my van. I got about 200 yards up the trail and had to back out because there wasn't enough room to turn around backwards all the way back to my van. Um, and this is Joaquina Falls. And even though I ran into some obstacles, I ran into loose sand that brought me down to my axles. Um, ran into that rock in the bottom right that had a huge hole at its base. So I had to like traverse up the side of the high part of the trail. And I was able to get around that. I, you know, eventually was able to take in the viewpoints that I really longed for and get up to the fully accessible bridge where I could feel the spray of the water against my face. And this picture is just my moment of joy when I accomplished, you know, what I had set out to do. And I wanted more. So I contacted the Forest Service. I contacted a guy named Chuck Freyer, and he is a or was a he's retired and an architect for trails and an accessibility specialist, and he also used a manual wheelchair. So I asked him if there were more places like Joaquina, and he said yes, but I'm not going to tell you what they are because if I did and you got hurt, we'd be liable. Next slide. So besides the liability concerns, the other reason why this information isn't out there is that there hadn't been a precedent. Nobody knew how to address the needs of a broad range of people with disabilities, some hidden disabilities. And so I asked Chuck if he'd be willing to meet with me and others to figure out the answer, figure out how to do that. And he said yes. Next slide. So, you know, federal, state, and city park agencies all signed in to do this. And once a month, a group of us got together. You'll see Debbie there, me, my partner Sharon, who's also with Access Recreation. Chuck is there, and other organizations that supported people with disabilities, with like Independent Living Resources and that, they all joined in, and we started meeting once a month to figure it out. Next slide. So Access Recreation's guiding principles are to ensure that people of all abilities can enjoy the natural environment and not be hindered by the lack of information. It's to provide trail users sufficient information on all trails so they can make their own decisions whether a trail is suitable or not, and to steer away from terms such as usable or accessible, unless it's ADA accessible, and let users determine if a trail meets their desired experience. Next slide. So this is when we're going to, you know, play a video. We're going to talk a little bit about engaging with people living with disabilities, and follow it up with just a brief talk about that afterwards. So take it away, Matt. Can't hear it.
Matt, are you working on the audio?
You're on mute.
Sure. There was no audio coming through?
No.
That's correct, no audio.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that's not helpful. Um, I think I know about this one.
Awkward.
Yep.
Good place to stop.
Stop the share, and then when we do, advanced sharing options. Thought that was on there. Layout and options. Share sound. Found it.
Good morning, Rob.
Morning there, big man. Morning, Alice!
There's no need to be awkward.
Poor Bob. Like so many of us, he just doesn't know how to interact with people with disabilities.
It's pretty easy, really. People with disabilities are people first.
We need the same things that every person needs, like respect.
Good morning, everyone.
Attention! Okay. Maybe we need to be more specific.
The easiest way to show respect is to focus on the person, not the disability. It's okay. You'll get the hang of it.
One easy way to focus on the person is to watch the person signing, not their interpreter.
Or their companion.
It's really cool that you'd like to help, but do us both a favor and please ask me first. What you think might be helping?
I got you.
Wait, ah! Oh no, might actually not.
If you'd like to offer me help, let me hold on to your elbow. Don't take mine.
Hey, would you like to take my arm?
Sure.
Assistive devices help us to live our lives. They're really important and really personal.
Grabbing them only makes it weird for everyone.
Well, please only touch our devices and service animals if we've given you permission. And don't take it personally if I ask you not to. Remember that my service animal helps me all the time. Neither of us would like it if we were separated.
Remember, we make our own decisions. We sign documents, vote, volunteer, work, and pay taxes.
We get married.
So don't address me just because I have a great smile.
Just because I'm blind does not mean I'm deaf.
No, I think he's gonna come. Just because I'm deaf doesn't mean I'm blind.
And just because I use a wheelchair doesn't mean that I can't sweep you off your feet.
So take a deep breath, relax. We don't bite.
Unless we're really hungry.
Hello ladies, how are you?
Hello. And if you're not sure what to do, just ask.
Hi, would you still like to see the menu?
No thanks, but can you please read it to me?
Sure, definitely.
Just treat us the way you would want to be treated, and we'll all be okay.
morning. Good morning. Morning, Alice.
Awkward no more. Nice job, Bob. Go forth and be human.
There's no need to be awkward.
Whoa,
Next slide.
there we are. Okay.
So, that video talked a little bit about person first language and definitely about respect. You know, something that we're all learning. Things can get awkward. I've stepped in it a few times myself, even recently. Talking about person first and identity first language. Person first is kind of came around in regards, as a result of the disability rights movement, and it's kind of standard respect, used in agencies, to say, Mary is living with a disability. Identity first is now being adopted by a lot of people with disabilities. It doesn't separate you from your disability. And so examples of that would be, autistic, deaf, blind, gay, that kind of thing. And so I'm bringing this up just to say that, it's never good to correct somebody with a disability on the way they identify. When you're doing things, with the public, person first is always a good way to lead. But if you're doing things in writing, sometimes it's good to have a mixture, so that people that are identity first don't feel like they don't belong. So you can find ways to weave both into, a written document or an invitation. Next slide. So the good news out of all those meetings, with everybody, we figured out how to bring better information to the public. And we're going to go through, Debbie and I, the Access Recreation Trail Guidelines, the recommended information, and the Access Trails Project. Next slide. So this is the cover of the guidelines for providing trail information to people with disabilities. And this came out, I think, in 2012, and it's been updated, to 2013. And what this is it's online. It's a web-based downloadable document. It goes into primary as well as advanced considerations, and I'm going to go through those primary and secondary items in the next slides. Next slide. So primary information has virtually no budget impact. It's information that agencies already have. Contact info that goes to a person, not an automated system. A location. People that use Lyft service, they need to have a physical address to be able to use Lyft. So if there is a physical address, don't put it at the bottom of the page. Put it right up on top. So somebody using a reader, for example, won't have to dig through and find the information buried in the page. Symbols, use of symbols. You can see here on this page there are 3 different icons. The blue circle is kind of an acceptable blue color for accessibility, and the P for parking. The next is restrooms with a man and a woman side by side. The third is a shelter with a picnic bench inside. The rating system is somewhat subjective, but also very useful. Amenities, we all the different features that are out there. We'll go through all that with Debbie's presentation. Experience description, the experience of the entire park is good to have as kind of a base, and that's like everything from what you hear, what you see, what the environment is, and history. Design elements as well. Next slide. Secondary information with some budgetary impact is keeping the information current. So, you may need to go back out to the park more than once and adapt the pictures on the website, adapt the descriptions, site photos, hire somebody to go out and take photos, maps, creating enhanced maps, and adding GPS coordinates, distance along a trail, perhaps distance to the different amenities on a map, and having the website reader friendly for somebody who uses a reader who's blind. Signage and wayfinding and operations and maintenance is also things that take a little time to be able to either implement on site or photograph. Next slide. So the Access Trails project at accesstrails.org is our attempt to walk our talk. We created one mock website, and then we got, kind of, I don't know, enhanced, excited, brought in by Metro to do 36 sites in the Portland, Vancouver area, and all these have all the guideline principles in them. So we'll be going through that. Next slide. So this is the list of the 36 parks and trails in the Portland, Vancouver region, and there's a map showing all the different locations. They're all hyperlinked. So you click on one of those. Next slide. And you come up to a typical web page. Now this is Smith and Bybee Wetlands Natural Area. And you'll see on the left is our 6 categories. This is the photo gallery. And there's 9 photos in each category. And then the trail facts at a glance. That's the basic primary information, up front and center. If we made a video, we made 18 videos for the 36 trails. There was a video there. There's a photo description, probably about 350 words. Like I said, that just kind of overviews the experience of the park and a little bit of the trail and a little bit of the ambiance. And then a map with icons and locations. Next slide. So this is the trail facts at a glance. Like I said, if you can't do anything other than just give this basic information, it would be so useful and that would be what we do is the name of the park or refuge in this case, hyperlinked. The park agency also hyperlinked. The contact person, phone number, location, address, the hours, not only of the park, but if there's a visitor center, the hours of operation, public transit. We try to put a hyperlink to the bus if there is one, and length of the route that we chose, which is usually 1 to 2 miles off the parking area, and how difficult we consider it, and the currency, the date we last visited. Next slide. So this is the photo gallery, and the overview, like I said, is just, it's a lot of the pretty pictures. It's kind of the overall features, what is like striking about the park, and each one comes with alt text and just a little description about what the picture is. So somebody who's blind doesn't just see image, image, image. You know, they too will get the same vital information. Next slide. So Debbie's going to go through all the other 5 categories.
Okay, when we were doing the project, I was one of the people taking photographs, and Georgina and I were writing descriptions. So I've got a lot of experience with photos. So one thing that we do when we take a photo, if you look at the one on the right, I try to get as much in the photo as I can. So you can see that there's a hard surface walkway in front of the map, and that map actually shows the river trail at Tualatin River in Stark Tigard. But you can also see some canoes and kayaks that would let you believe that there's go back map, please.
Sorry about that. I clicked a thing.
That's okay.
Nope.
One more?
One more. If not, I can move on and fill in.
There we go.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
But the point is, you know, you can see there's a parking lot. There's a whole lot to be seen in that picture. And the picture on the left, the reason that was taken was Smith and Bybee. It would be really easy to drive right on by it, run by the entrance. And so this gives people an idea of, okay, this is what I'm looking for. And there's also a bus stop and a crosswalk nearby. So Matt, go ahead. Amenities and features. The picture on the left, once again, a lot of information in that one picture. People always ask, is there a place to get out of the sun? Is there a place with shade? So I took this picture at Cook Park, and one of the things in this picture, you've got benches, you've got a trash can, yeah, you've got the shelter for shade and both rain. If you look further back in the picture, there's some narrative plaques, I forget, signs explaining what's out in front of them, which is a wetland and hard surface, and there's a beautiful native flower garden that people can walk through. So you can see all that in one picture. And then on the right, I joke that I probably have more restroom pictures than anyone. I always include a restroom picture because let's say somebody's had a stroke and they're not able to use their right arm anymore. They may see this and say, well, this isn't really set up for me because I need to use my right arm to push up from the toilet. But it gives them the information for them to make their own decision. And also, you can see in this picture, it looks like there's plenty of room to turn around if you're using a wheelchair, and there's probably room for an assistant to be in there with you. And that's all important to know before you go somewhere. Next. Characteristics. What are you going to find on the trail? This is at Cook Park, but they have part of the trail that's a natural surface. And you're going along the trail, and all of a sudden you come to this bridge that has a lip. Well, if somebody has a mobility device, they may or may not be able to get up and over that lip. So this is good information to know ahead of time and have it marked on the, depending on the type of map you do, you might even want to mark the location. Often what we do is we'll take one picture, for example, of a tree root and just say, okay, on this trail, you'll probably run into tree roots like the one that we've pictured. And then on the left, same location, you can see there's kind of a drop off on the left. That would be good for somebody to explain to maybe somebody who has a vision impairment that's going down the trail. Just be aware that there could be some drop offs. Okay, Matt. Georgina's going to take this.
Yeah, this first sign is at a trailhead in California, and it's really informative with a lot of images, pictorials that indicate the typical grade, typical width, typical surface. It's got a dog with picture of a silhouette of a dog with a red line through it that shows that no dogs are allowed, except service animals, of course. And right below is a trail access information strip. And that's a similar thing. That's a different form that you could put on a 4x4 post. It's just a small strip at a trailhead that would give the typical and maximum grade, typical and maximum cross slope, the average and minimum tread width, what type of surface, and if there is any obstacles across the trail over 2 inches. The top right is more information about rules and that kind of thing with images and an interpretive display at a trailhead. And then you go down to the bottom and there's somebody reading Braille on another interpretive display. A friend of mine who's blind said, if there's a lot of words, don't put Braille verbatim, just give kind of a summary, to give me an idea what's on the overall sign. And then the last picture is of a girl. It appears she's pushing some kind of tactile, looks like a button. And a lot of times I've seen something like this where you push something and an audible will do a description. So again, for people that are using mobility devices, people of different statures, short and tall, can use these interpretive displays equally. Next slide. So here I'm going to be talking about wayfinding. The first slide is of a bunch of set a trail junction that shows It shows on one post different directions to different trails. And another wayfinding example is this map in the top right, and tactile map of a campus, Portland State University. So people could kind of know the dimensions, heights, and the distances in a tactile form. The bottom three are on a trail. The blue diamond on a tree might indicate that that trail is either easy to difficult, depending on the coloration and the shape that the little sign on the tree would be. The loop trail is, you'll see a little wrought iron loop circle. It indicates that there's a loop trail that you're joining. And the last is mileage. There's a paved route, wide paved route that has the mileage stenciled directly on the pavement. And that's a great way for people that are jogging, people that don't have much stamina, they know how far they can go. And it also shows in that same picture at the top, if it's a natural surface trail, that you could have a marker on the side indicating the same thing. Also, I use a manual wheelchair, and sometimes I've got limited battery life. So I like to know how far I can go so I can make sure I can get back. Next slide.
Okay, back to me. The sign on the left shows the hours of operation, which definitely is important. And then on the right, like I said, when we went to this park, there may have been several locations where they were going to be working on the surface of the trail. I didn't take pictures of all of them because, for one thing, there's not enough room on the web page. But I took this picture to show people that they might run into some repair work, or perhaps an area that does need repair. So don't be surprised if you run into something like that on the trail. Okay, Matt, next.
So the design of the trail, again, we relied on one of our colleagues who's blind to point out where we failed in designing our website so that it's reader friendly. And so on the map, to the right, for her, it would be difficult to find the trail. She wouldn't be able to find the location of where these trails are and find the hyperlinks around it. So we put a alphabetical list of the 36 to the left, which is intuitive for a reader to be able to read things on the left first, and in text. Next slide. So these are two examples of maps where we use the icons. If something is accessible, we use the blue circle. And if something is questionable, like a bench, may or may not be, we did a dark square. And this is so people who are blind or colorblind could differentiate between the dark square and the blue circle. Next slide. Debbie.
Okay, so when we go out on the trail, we have several tools that we take with us. One is the level to the picture that shows the slope of the trail. And we also have a wheel that we push along that shows us the mileage that we're going. But anyway, what happens is if we're going down the trail and we see a bench, we want to put that information on our map, then somebody will take a reading on the wheel and mark down the distance, and we'll be able to know that at that distance from the start there's a bench, and we just keep going down the whole trail marking things that we might want to talk about on the map. And photos, I take lots of photos when I'm out there, maybe 100 photos, and I use 20 or so. Pictures worth 1,000 words. And then writing descriptions, because people with vision impairments may not be able to see the picture and see the context of the picture. We do have written descriptions that they can listen to through different reading machines. Next.
So this is our final slide. So you can follow Access Recreation at accessrecreation.org or on facebook.com Access Recreation. And you can view our profiled trails at accesstrails.org. And if you have any questions or want any information, you can contact me at Georgina@accessrecreation.org. So yeah, I guess we could go back to full gallery mode if anybody has any questions.
Thank you. Very interesting. Yeah.
And I think any one of us on the call with a little bit of experience would be interested to hear what the next plans are. I know that there's the in-person training, but Ellen, what we wanted to also make sure you knew about is that what we'll do to carry this work forward is get a list of recommended trails that Access Recreation would like us to survey, and WAVA would also probably be contributing to that list to let us know where we can go out and begin to use the skills we'll acquire after the in-person training.